But so this is the summary of the poem Evolution by Sherman Alexie. So these are the important points. This poem was published in the collection The Business of Fancy Dancing in 1992. This poem is written by a popular Native American poet Sherman Alexie. This poem exposes the oppression and the exploitation of indigenous Native Americans by white colonizers. This poem alludes to Buffalo Bill, whose real name was William F. Cody, who got famous for his traveling show Wild West, which depicted native indigenous people as antithesis to civilized life. This show represented Native Americans as savages from a wild land but efficient in warlike skills. In this poem, Buffalo Bill exploits Native Americans by opening a pawn shop where they can pawn their goods and belongings to get money for alcohol. So, this is the text of the poem. Buffalo Bill opens a pawn shop on the reservation right across the border from the liquor store, and it stays open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the Indians come running in with jewelry, television sets, a VCR, a full length beaded buckskin outfit. It took in as much 12 years to finish. So, when the poem opens, the speaker talks about the exploitation and the oppression of native indigenous people by white colonizers. So, these indigenous people had to face poverty, alcoholism, and lifelong oppression. Buffalo Bill is represented as a villain in the poem who represents white settlers. This man opens a pawn shop in an Indian reservation where he offers money to Native Americans in return of their goods and belongings. So, this shop is very much close to another shop that sells alcohol. So, this pawn shop remains open for 24 hours, 7 days a week. So, this shows the eagerness and the desperation of white settlers to rob indigenous people of their everything. So, the indigenous people come to this pawn shop to give things like jewelry, TV, video cassette players, and a handmade buckskin outfit that was made by a woman in as muse in 12 years. Buffalo Bill takes everything the Indians have to offer, keeps it, all catalogs, and filed in a storage room. The Indians pawn their hands, saving the thumbs for last. They pawn their skeletons, falling endlessly from the skin. And when the last Indian has pawned everything but is hurt, Buffalo Bill takes that for 20 bucks. So in these lines, speaker says that Buffalo Bill gives very less amount to these people in return of their valuable gifts. Buffalo Bill takes everything from these people. Then these people start selling their body parts, their hands, their thumbs, and their hearts in just 20 bucks. This means that the indigenous people lose their identity, culture, and community. Closes up the pawn shop, paints a new sign over the old, calls his venture the Museum of Native Americans Cultures, charges the Indians 5 bucks a head to enter. So now what happens that Buffalo Bill takes all of the possessions and belongings of these indigenous people, and then he closes his pawn shop, and then he changes the name of the shop as the Museum of Native American Cultures. And then he starts charging the Indians 5 bucks per person to enter this museum. And here the poem ends.